Hey there, everyone. My name is Lisa of EnergieGal Holistic Wellness. So glad to have you along for the show today. We're going to be talking about guilt. I've been sitting here pondering for about 15 minutes how I would unpack this particular conversation I had with someone back a couple of weeks ago. This particular soul had said that they were pretty darn excited because they had come into a point of understanding their boundaries, of understanding where it is they end and the other begins, of understanding what it is they exactly were willing to do and offer others. And so in that way, because they had come to a place of really introspective work of saying, this is me, this is where I end, this is my expectations of myself, this is what I'm willing to offer. When someone would come along and ask, and then at that point, they would be able to say, yes, this is going to work for me. No, it's not going to work for me. So they were saying to me, I'm just so excited that I've come to that point in my journey. And I said, hey, rah, rah. But then they included this. The only problem I'm having right now is that when I say no, when I maintain those boundaries, I feel guilty. It's not long after that this sense, this visceral feeling of like, oh, I feel kind of bad. Oh, I know that what I did, I wanted to do. I know that the boundaries that I laid were perfect for me. And I don't have any regret overlaying those boundaries. I just feel so guilty about it still. And I said to her, first, I really understand what you're saying. Second, I think that that's part of the journey as we are coming out of this Piscean age of top-down authority, of martyrdom, of believing that life is supposed to be sacrifice and suffering. And that's the only way to ever grow in wisdom is through throwing yourself under the bus. You know, we laud someone who is stretched in 11 different directions and seems to be holding their own. Look at all these different things I can do. Okay. We've got people clapping. We think that that's worthy. And the one person then, or that person who is saying, I know that doing 3 things at the same time, that's my limit. That's where I want to end it. I'm going to do this, this, and that, and I don't plan on volunteering for everything, and my kids aren't going to be in every sport. And even though I can run for, 15 miles, today I'm only going to do 11. Only 11. Slacker. We laud this it's a masculine energy of go get 'em, pound it, go all the way, be all you can be. In a world where you can be anything, be all of it, and be all of it perfectly. Become an ace and an expert in every single area. Why? Because you can. And so those of us who are coming into a space of saying, yeah, I'm not going to. Just because I can doesn't mean I should. Or just because I should doesn't mean I'm going to. And it's a beautiful space to be. It's very feminine energies, which I think are very passionate still. Very open, very receptive, very tender, very caring, safe, compassionate, forgiving, space holding, but also sometimes very quiet, maybe slower moving, maybe not as many things going on all at the same time. So I think what's happening is in the world out there, where if 1 is good, then 2 is better. If 12 is good, then for sure 17 is better. And it just doesn't ever end. We who are waking up into this space of saying, man, I'm the personification of the passion in compassion. I want to live a life of passion compassionately. I want to live a life of passionate compassion. It's all passion, but it's where does this passion go? And what's its purpose? I know I'm getting waxing a little esoteric here, a little futuristic minding as we, in the next 100 years or so, kind of find ourselves in a very different age of Aquarian, which is communication, the group as a whole. Very interested in group and community dynamics, and less so about pulling one individual up to be lauded. But it's more, how can the group connect and work with each other to create something that was better than the individual on its own, but coming together you become even greater. So as we are changing our minds and moving towards that space, guilt may show itself. And like I said to this person, maybe that's normal. And all we need to do is get curious. Why am I still feeling guilty? Oh, isn't it interesting? I'm still feeling guilty. We might not even need to ask why. We may just need to acknowledge, I still feel guilty about that, but I'm working through that. I've come out of a lifetime of feeling like throwing myself under the bus. Saying no to me and yes to everybody else is what I'm supposed to do. And I'm just waking up and understanding that it is perfectly fine, if not even divine and heavenly, to consider myself first. Now, you have to understand, as I'm saying this, I'm like, well, hold on, what about that group dynamics? What I mean by considering yourself first is love yourself first. Really come into understanding where your boundaries are so that you are not so infected and influenced by the current collective, which is still in a space of go, push, experience it all, be it all, say yes to it all. So let me ask you this. If you're someone who says, I'm learning my boundaries, if you're someone who says, I'm learning that just because I can run 3 miles doesn't mean that I need to learn how to do 6. Just because I can run a half a marathon doesn't mean I need to train for a full marathon. And let me tell you, I'm talking to myself. I can get caught up in that. If you're someone who's saying, it doesn't really matter how many books I read, it's that the books that I'm reading, I'm sharing with others and I'm talking with others and I'm living what I've learned. It's not about quantity, it's about quality. It's about depth. Not so much about being seen as it is seeing ourselves. I'm not so concerned about someone else seeing me as it is I want to look in the mirror and see myself, truly see myself. I'm not so worried about having others hear me. I want to open up my mouth and be able to hear myself. It's not so important that somebody else understands me. I want to understand myself. I want to be on that introspective journey that journey to the depth of me, so that I can come to know myself so well that the onus isn't on somebody else to have to praise me, understand me, see me, hear me, laud me. But in this space of knowing who I am so well, I feel like the more I've done that, the better I've been able to offer myself to the collective without any expectation or need of anything back. True unconditional love. Like, I don't need anything from you, bro. You wanna offer it to me? That's awesome, because I think we'll be great together. But I don't need someone or something else to complete me. And I think that we're coming around to understanding that, but not in a way that's like, F off, I don't need you to complete me. No, that's reflective. That's backhand. No, the way I'm saying it is, hey, I don't need you to complete me. And because I don't need you to complete me, I can offer as much as feels right to me, to you. And I don't feel like that you're taking advantage of me. I don't feel drained. I don't feel taken for granted. This is how much I have to offer you. Oh, this is how much I have to offer you. Oh, today I have nothing to offer you. And in that space of knowing yourself so well and what it is that you have to offer, then where would the guilt be? I think that as we mature and we really become curious about what it is that we're thinking and what we've agreed to and what we decide we're not going to agree with anymore, guilt subsides. It doesn't find a place within us anymore. There's nothing to feed on. There's no fear then. Guilt feeds on the fear. Guilt is a product of fear. And as you come into a space of really standing on your own 2 feet, but authentically, vulnerably, consciously. And this involves introspective work. The kind of individuation I see sometimes out there in the world is all about, look at my medals, look at how well I've done, how far I've come, how great I am. Agree with me on that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't. I'm just not sure how much that's helping the collective. Anyway, here's where I would have you go. I ranted a little bit today and kind of went on and on. I didn't even get to I'll get to it next time. A lot of what I'm talking about is something I just feel from my insides. And I'm not exactly sure how to put it in words out there, but I can tell you that there's a counterfeit of where it is that we're going, where it is that the collective, that humanity is being drawn towards. And there's a counterfeit of it. There's the false kind of facade of it. And then there's the true. And I'm not judging or dissing at all, disrespecting this. I was there. I get it. What I'm saying is there comes a time when you start to possibly want to head in a different direction, and it can feel very disconcerting because you start to realize some of the things that you were standing on was sand. And so now you got to find new footing. But I can tell you that as you put yourself forward into doing that and you tell the universe, I am willing to head in this direction. I'm willing to get introspective and do the work of knowing what my deeper emotions like guilt, where they're coming from. I'm willing to journal. I'm willing to drink my water and ground things. I'm willing to listen to YouTubes like this. I'm willing to step back from the busyness of life and let it pass me by as I sit quietly here and meditate and ponder. I promise you that other people will show up who are in the same space, and you won't feel so alone then. Because the work is not complicated, but it's also not easy. It's not hard, but it is uncomfortable. And a lot of it is because there are not too many people ahead of us doing it, kind of pioneering this. So, here would be something I would offer to you. Take 5 minutes, set a timer, and find yourself a little nook of the house, a little corner of a path outside under a tree, a bathtub full of Epsom salts. Just 5 minutes of time, no phone around, no electronics if at all possible. Nature, water, light a candle, and just be curious about any emotions that come up. Guilt, fear, shame. In regards to putting down some boundaries. If you're like, well, I'm pretty sure that from now on when they call and say they want someone to come in on Thursday nights, I'm going to say no. Because Thursday nights is going to be family night. I'm going to make dinner and I'm just going to say no. So as you set that down, is there anything that comes up? Imagine that someone's going to call you and now you have to say no. Now what do you do with the emotions that come up? Sit with them, acknowledge them, feel them, recognize them, allow them. Don't shame them, guilt them. It's like guilting guilt, shaming shame, condemning condemnation. Just notice it and realize that it's working through you. And see if you can think about what it is that you're thinking. Why do you think that it's not okay to say no sometimes? What's the thought behind that? And do you want to agree with that thought anymore? I had one woman I was working with who said every single time her mom calls, regardless of what time it is, she has to pick up the phone. Even if it's, she's just about ready to hop in the shower and, she's got to hurry up and get to, but if that phone, she's got to. And this is a mom who contacts her a number of times throughout the day. And I said, okay, get curious. What are you thinking? She says, well, I guess I was thinking that only mean daughters, disrespectful, unkind, unappreciative daughters wouldn't answer their mom's phone call every time. I said, oh, maybe you could get curious with that. Maybe you could decide whether you agree with that. Maybe you could decide whether you want to think if that's true anymore for you. Just think about it. So, long one today. Thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Lisa, and I'm an empowerment coach. I'm an holistic wellness practitioner. And if you would like to work with me one-on-one, I would be honored. Links are below in the meantime. If you're appreciating this ramble of information that goes esoteric on days and more practical on others, if you will subscribe and hit the notification bell, like and comment, and feel free to share. I appreciate it. In the meantime, I'll talk to you again soon.